Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Siboga TV, which is your number one online political channel. Do you think there is the united opposition without Fred Matiang'i? Because you have been seeing the way Fred Matiang'i has always been given a low deal within the united opposition. Because if you have been very keen observing what is going within the united opposition, you will find that most of the time, you will find Fred Matiang'i is actually left out, even some of the rallies which are being carried by the united opposition. For example, you will find the recent rallies, you will find that the people who were able to attend those united opposition rallies were Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Eugene Wamalwa, Martha Karua, and Rigathi Gachagua. Even there is a time when the billboard which were made of the united opposition, they were actually being printed without the picture and the name of Fred Matiang'i. But the big question is, if Fred Matiang'i will go forward and have his own coalition, will the united opposition be in that position of defeating William Samoei Arap Ruto? That is the big question we must ask ourselves. Because people have been talking and they have been saying that if you look at the united opposition, it looks like some of the members of the united opposition, they don't want Fred Matiang'i. And that is why they have always been giving him a low deal. And as you know in Kiswahili, akufukusaye akwambi toka. But his actions will always tell you that you are not needed in that group. And that is actually what has always been happening for Fred Matiang'i. And the person who is fueling all that is Rigathi Gachagua. Because Rigathi Gachagua feels that he is the driver, he is actually the driver of the united opposition. And what he says must actually be done. And that is why you are seeing that most of the time, you will find that Fred Matiang'i is actually not welcomed to some of the rallies which are made by the united opposition. And people have always been asking, why are things like so? Because if the united opposition will actually come together as a unity, it will be very easy for them to actualize their dream or dreams of making William Samoei Arap Ruto to be a one-term president. And that is why I have asked that question. Will the united opposition achieve its dreams without Fred Matiang'i? That is actually what I want us to deal with this evening. But before we dive in and try to dissect all that, I could request you kindly to take a minute and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Give this video a like, share the video to your friends. And if your friends are lovers of politics, then it's good to request them for us to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And by doing all that is actually free. You don't incur any kind of coins. Now let us dive back to the discussion. Will opposition be able to achieve what they want to achieve by making William Samoei Arap Ruto to be a one-term president? and also by forming the government, let come 2027 presidential election. I have always told people that if Fred Matiang'i will actually be expelled out of the united opposition, then there is a very high likelihood that William Samoei Arap Ruto is actually going to win massively let come 2027. And the reasons are very clear, that we have people in the opposition who wants Fred Matiang'i to stop at presidency. And also we have people who want Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka to stop at presidency. And if Fred Matiang'i will actually be made to walk out of the united opposition, then we can say that the opposition is actually going to split nearly into two halves. And even if that one happens, then it's going to be very easy for William Samoei Arap Ruto to win very early in the morning. And you have always known historically in this nation that the late President Moi used to win with 30% of the votes, and the entire opposition side used to lose with 70% of the votes. And therefore, if the united opposition cannot actually run from that, then I am very sure that it is going to lose to William Samoei Arap Ruto. The same way the opposition during the Nyayo era used to lose to Moi with a very big percentage lying to their side. As I have said, that Moi could win by just 30%, and opposition will lose by 70%. Why? Because at that time, opposition could split, and it could have around 3 to 4 factions. And that means their votes could be divided into those splits. And that is why the current opposition should actually be very careful. They should know that they should welcome everybody to their group, and they should be very fair with each other, such that if they have to look for somebody who is going to be their presidential flag bearer, they must come up with a criteria that is acceptable to all. And if they will be able to do that, it means now their votes will actually be brought together. And that means if they will run against William Samoei Arap Ruto, then it will be easy for them to win let come 2027, because they will have put their strength together. But if it is about dividing their votes, then they are going to lose terribly. And that's why many people have actually been telling the united opposition that there is no opposition without Fred Matiang'i. Because people feel that Fred Matiang'i is actually the strongest presidential candidate in the united opposition, and is the person who they feel should stop at the presidency let come 2027. And at the same time, they feel that there is a scheme which is laid down deliberately to make Fred Matiang'i actually to move out of the united opposition or to rig him out to stop at presidency within the opposition side. And people have come out categorically and they have said that let the opposition have a free and a fair way of looking for a person who is going to stop at presidency, because that could unite the opposition and that will make it very easy for them to defeat William Samoei Arap Ruto, let come 2027. But if they cannot do that, there are people who feels that they will actually vote for William Samoei Ruto. If in the united opposition, we cannot have a free criteria of looking for somebody who is going to stop at the presidency. And as you know, the Kenyans by now, they are interested of a person who is going to change the political trajectory of this nation. A person who is going to make sure that he improves the economy of this nation. A person who is clean. A person who can perform. That is what the Kenyans need by now. And that is why sometimes when people say that Fred Matiang'i is not a politician, he's just a servant, and that means he might not be able to lead this nation forward, then people will come out and tell that is the person we need, because we need a performer. We don't need a politician, because politicians have been doing the same thing year in, year out. They promise a lot, but they deliver nothing. And that is why Kenyans at this time, they are very keen with the side of united opposition, to see that that side of the united opposition, they have a very good criteria of choosing somebody who is going to be their presidential candidate. And that criteria will be the one which will actually be able to gauge whether the united opposition is going to win or it's going to lose. It will be a do or a break within the united opposition circles. And that is why many people believe that without Fred Matiang'i in the united opposition, then William Samoei Arap Ruto is actually going to win presidency, let come 2027. Because Fred Matiang'i has followers across this nation. And those followers, if they will be annoyed, there is a very high likelihood they won't vote. Or if they can actually even vote against the person who has been elected unfairly within the circles of united opposition. And that is why I feel that the side of opposition should actually have a fair and a free criteria to choose their presidential candidate. And if that one happens, then they will be assured that they will win against William Samoei Arap Ruto. But without that, if Fred Matiang'i is going to bolt out, then the game is over. It will be William Samoei Arap Ruto who is going to win for presidency, let come 2027. What do you have to say about that? Do you think there is a united opposition which can win 2027 without Fred Matiang'i? Please drop your comment in the comment section below. And if this is your first time to bump into this YouTube channel, I request you kindly to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video to your friends. And with that, I say thank you until we meet in our next political discussion. Goodbye.